Hello everyone, this is TSG, aka the Skiing Gamer. That time of year again to close off a year. We're doing the games that I beat in 2025. Haven't seen my last year video, all that? Be sure to check it out. But for games I beat in 2025, I beat 25 games of this year and all that stuff. So this year, been huge, great gaming for me in terms of my backlog and all that. Uh, being games that I never played before for the first time, whether from modern to retro, and replay games a lot as a kid and being it as an adult and all that stuff. So, like for the last year video and all that, I beat 18 games, but this year I beat 25 games, which is like a huge milestone and all of that stuff. I took break gaming here and there due to work life and all that stuff, but for this milestone and all that stuff was really phenomenal and all that, from retro to modern and all that stuff, from January all the way to now, which is December and all that stuff. So yeah, so tell me, comment below what you games have you beat in this year, where from retro to modern and all of that other stuff. So anyway, without further ado, let's not waste any time. Let's get it started. Alright, the first game I beat in January, which is the DS game and all that, was a phenomenal remake of Gen 2 coming from the Gen 4 engine. And like based on you know how Pokemon games are so expensive, where from the Game Boy games to DS games, and that remake go for like $150 to $200. The game which is we're talking about, which is Pokemon Soul Silver. This is an excellent Gold Silver remix from the original Gold Silver game for the Game Boy Advance, which currently I never played the remix as uh, remakes as a kid and all that. I only played the original when I was in high school back in 2010 when this game came out and all that stuff. But playing your Gen 2 again and all that is so phenomenal. The soundtrack and everything and all that stuff. And the post game for this game too and all that stuff. Where after you beat the main game and all that stuff, you could go through the post game and all that stuff. You could travel from Johto all the way to Kanto, get the Kanto badges and beat Red and all that stuff, which I didn't do and all that stuff. But yeah, so this is an excellent remake right here and all that stuff. I really enjoyed it, and my team is so different from the original Silver. I still have my original Silver from my teenage copy, but unfortunately my team is gone and all that stuff. But in the remake of this game right here and all this stuff, let me show you the team. I got it. Ta-da! As you can see, hope you can see it. This is my team for my Soul Silver team and all that stuff, which I got from this year. Got all the 8 gym badges, the Elite Four, and Come Champion, all that. Totodile was my starter and all that, just like the original Silver and all that stuff. And yeah, this is a phenomenal, excellent remake of this game and all that other stuff. And so, not only this is my team right here, I got Lugia, which is my favorite legendary Pokemon of all time due to Pokemon 2000 as a kid and all that. And also, not only catch Lugia, I catch Ho-Oh as well, which you have to catch him in the post game and in the all the other stuff when you're traveling to Kanto and all the other stuff. And when you get the gold wing and all the other stuff, you can travel back to Johto to get catch Ho-Oh and all the other stuff. So overall, overall, the Soul Silver remake on the DS, excellent remake of the Soul Silver games and all that stuff. So if you want to play the Gold and Silver games and all that stuff, skip the Game Boy games and all that stuff. Play the remake and all that stuff, whereby physically or emulated and all that stuff. This is a excellent remake out of the other Pokemon games and all that other stuff. So I really enjoyed this game and all that. And I'm gonna catch the 3 legendary dogs, Entei, Raikou, Suicune, really soon for this game and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that. Number 1 is January. That is Pokemon Soul Silver on Nintendo DS. So yeah, there is that. Alright, going on to February. In February, the second game I beat of this year, that is Mortal Kombat 1, which is, I got this game on my birthday and all that other stuff. And this is not the greatest Mortal Kombat game ever and all that. I usually play it for the story mode and all that stuff. The story mode's kind of and all that stuff. Not as great as Mortal Kombat 11 and all that stuff. Like Mortal Kombat 11 story is like really great compared to this one and all that stuff. So this game is so failed and so trashy at times and all that stuff. This is not even great of Mortal Kombat game and all that stuff. So yeah, so not as good as Mortal Kombat 10 and Mortal Kombat 11 in my opinion and all that stuff. This game should have done a lot better and all that stuff. But this game right here and all that stuff, it's an alright game for like the Mortal Kombat games and all that, but it's not the best in this series and all that other stuff. So yeah, I prefer Mortal Kombat 11 over this game right here and all that stuff. So overall, Mortal Kombat 1, decent Mortal Kombat game. Is it the best Mortal Kombat game? Hell no. But still, it was a really decent Mortal Kombat game. It's not the best in my opinion. So yeah. There is that. Number 2, Mortal Kombat 1 on the PS5. Coming in at number 3, which is March and all that, is I beat this game for the Xbox 360. That is Devil May Cry 4 on the Xbox 360. I had the game for so many years and all that stuff. I never really played the game until now and all that stuff, which is March and all that stuff. Devil May Cry 4 and all that is a really great game and all that stuff. Just like the first 3 and all that stuff, this game is phenomenal as well and all that stuff. You can play as not only Dante and all that, but Nero too and all that other stuff. So yeah, so if you want more content and all that stuff, get the special editions with on the PS4 and the Xbox One and all that stuff. But overall, Devil May Cry 4 and all that, phenomenal game and all that, just like the original trilogy and all that stuff. So I really enjoyed this one, and yeah, this game is really great as well. So great Devil May Cry game and all that stuff. And hopefully I play Devil May Cry 5 in the near future. So yeah, there is that. Devil May Cry 4 on the Xbox 360. Alright, coming in at number 4, which is going on to April, which is another Sega Genesis classic from the Sonic trilogy and all that. I never beat the last one in the trilogy in the Sega Genesis era as a teenager and all that. What I beat in April. If you see my Skiing Gamer plays of this game right here, be sure to check it out. The No Need Introduction, which is the best one in the trilogy in the Sega Sonic era, Genesis era, which is Sonic the Hedgehog 3. No question about it, no explanation. One of the best one in the trilogy and all other stuff, the soundtrack and everything like that and all other stuff. So yeah, I play it through the Sonic Ultimate Genesis Collection on the PS3. If you haven't seen the episode, Seeing Your Place of this of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is on my channel, like a few months ago. Be sure to check it out. But overall, I beat Sonic 3 as an adult. It's really great and all that compared to like back then and all that. I never really good at it as a teenager and all that stuff. The music, the levels, it's a certified classic, all that. No explanation about that. So yeah, so if you want to play the originals version, which have the Michael Jackson music and all that other stuff, play the Genesis versions or the Sonic Mega collections on the PS2, GameCube, Xbox, and the Ultimate Genesis collection on the PS3, not the modern consoles and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that. Number 4, which is April, that is Sonic Hedgehog 3 on the Sega Genesis. So yeah, there is that. And the second game that I beat in April and all that stuff, you see me pick this up at the GameMod Expo of this year. If you saw all my GameMod Expo 2025 pickup short, be sure to check out this game. This is the first time playing this game and all that after so many years and never really played it. I played the second one a lot as a kid and all that stuff, but never the first one and all that stuff. And there's great story, great everything and all that stuff, and soundtrack and everything gone to the max. I remember seeing a commercial for this game as a kid and never really played it until now and all that stuff. But that game I'm talking about, which is the original Tony Hawk Underground on the original Xbox. This game right here, I remember seeing seeing this commercial for this game as a kid and reading it through magazines and all the other stuff. And this game is phenomenal. The one of the best stories in the Tony Hawk Underground franchise. Number 2 is great, and this one much phenomenal. All that compared to number 2 and all that. Like number 2 is basically more like a jackass thing and all that stuff. But this one It's more like real story and all that other stuff. The story is great. You got the other skater, which is Eric. Eric, I forgot remember his name. Eric something. Be like a villain in the game and all that other stuff. The story was phenomenal and all that other stuff, and so. And so overall, Tony Hawk Underground 1 is a certified classic. I'm so glad I played this game this year because I'm really missed out on as a kid and all that other stuff. This is phenomenal Tony Hawk game and all that other stuff. So if you never played the original Tony Hawk Underground and all that other stuff, if you don't like Underground 2 and all that other stuff, play the first one and all that stuff. You really enjoyed this game and all that stuff. And I personally enjoyed it and all that other stuff. So yeah, there is that. The original Tony Hawk Underground on the original Xbox. So yeah, there is that. All right, coming in at number 5, and another game I beat in April, another Tony Hawk game and all that. This game right here is my childhood copy right here and all that, preparing me for the Tony Hawk 3, 4 remake and all that stuff. That game I'm talking about, which is the OG Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 and all the other stuff. Like I beat like career mode with Kareem Campbell and all that stuff, as you can see right here, with all the stats and all the other stuff. And also the levels too and all this stuff, except for the bottom two and all this stuff, which I didn't feel like messing around and all that. I just use your cheat code to play it and all that stuff. But yeah, the OG Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 is my childhood copy right here. Played so many hours as a kid. Never beat the career mode and all of that other stuff. So yeah, so it's so fun replaying this game. Like continue to play this game after all these years and all that. The OG Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 is so much better than the remake, all that, which I get to get to it later on and all that stuff. But the OG Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 is a phenomenal remake. Not the OG Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 is a phenomenal game in the OG Tony Hawk Pro Skater series. Soundtrack, the characters, and the missions, and all the other stuff, and the difficulty and all that goes so bananas in the game. Man. I'm so glad I replayed the game this year and all that stuff, preparing for the Tony Hawk 3 or 4 remaster and all that stuff. So if you more like if you want like more open world and all that stuff, compared to like a remake and all that stuff, play the OG Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. You won't regret this game and all that stuff. This is the best one in the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series, in my opinion. Like I said, this is my original childhood copy as a kid and all that, back in like 2003, 2004, and all that stuff, where I used to play the game a lot. But yeah, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 and all that will be my favorite one in the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series. The OG Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4, not the remake, which I get to later on in this video. So yeah, there is that. Number 5, the original Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 on the GameCube. So yeah, there is that. Coming in on number 6, we're going into May. And another game I beat on the Xbox 360, which is Naruto: The Broken Bond on the Xbox 360, the sequel to Rise of the Ninja. This game made a huge improvement over Rise of Ninja and all that other stuff. And so this game is a continuation of from the Gaara arc all the way through the Sasuke retrieval arc and all that other stuff, which is like the final fight between the OG Naruto for the OG Sasuke fight and all that other stuff. This game is all that other stuff. Like, this made a huge improvement over Rise of Ninja. Rise of Ninja was a really great game and all that stuff, but Broken Bond is a lot great too. Like, you could play more characters and all that other stuff besides like Naruto and all that other stuff, to play with more characters. And like really great RPG and all that stuff. Even though the game was hard at times and all that other stuff, like you can level up your characters, you can level up your jutsus, you can level up your health, you can level up. You could basically basically is like the expanded version of Rise of Ninja and all the other stuff. So if you're a big fan of the OG Naruto, if you're a big fan of RPGs and all that other stuff, I highly recommend playing Naruto Broken Bond and all that other stuff. Like, if you like Rise of Ninja and all this stuff. So, like I said, I'm a huge Naruto fan and all that stuff. I'm so glad I played this game this year and all that other stuff. And this game right here go for like $20-$25 and all that stuff. So if you're a big fan of Naruto and all that stuff, if you like RPGs, a big fan of Rising Ninja, play Naruto Broken Bond. This is an excellent game right here if you're a Naruto fan. So yeah, there is that. And the second game that I beat in May and all this stuff is another Naruto game, which is Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja 4 on the PS2. And I used to have this game like a while back. I sold it because it wasn't working and all that stuff. But I bought another second copy of this game right here and all that other stuff. And it's finally working and all that other stuff. And so yeah, so I remember seeing this game a lot at GameStop back in the day during my high school days, back in like 2009 and all that stuff when this game was released. At the time, it was so expensive. I never put my hands on it because I got Ultimate Ninja 3. I got Naruto Ultimate Ninja 3 at the time and all that. But this one right here and all that, it was the last Ultimate Ninja game on the PS2 here in the States and all that stuff. So like the open world in this game and all that other stuff, it was pretty good and all the stuff. Like before, this is the last. Like I said, this is the last Naruto game released on the PS2 before before the PS3 story games took over and all the other stuff. And so yeah, overall, like the open world for this game and all this stuff is really good and all that stuff. It's soft halfway to the Kase arc and all that stuff, and they release it in another country, which is Ultimate Ninja 5 or the past Kase story and all the other stuff. But overall, Naruto Ultimate Ninja 4 and all that stuff, really great Naruto Ultimate Ninja game. I'm so glad I played this game after like 16 years or so and all that other stuff of like seeing this game, not playing it and all that other stuff. And yeah, so if you have Ultimate Ninja 3 saved on the PS2, you get characters from it and all the other stuff. So which is a nice feature right here and all that stuff. So overall, Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja 4 on the PS2, the last Ultimate Ninja game on the PS2, really good and all that stuff. Not as good as 2 and 3 and all that, but still, this is a good game right here to end off the Ultimate Ninja series in the States on the PS2. So yeah, there is that. And the third and the last game I beat in May and all that stuff, I beat it from the Namco Museum compilation on the PS2. And hopefully do a Skin Game plays of this game really soon. That is the Pac-Man arrangement from the Namco Museum compilation on the PS2. It basically is a new twist. Of Pac-Man and all that stuff. Like I beat it with Infinite Continues and all that other stuff, which I never beat Pac-Man my entire life. But the Pac-Man arrangement version of Pac-Man and all that is really great and all that. It has like 25 levels and all that other stuff. But it's a really great iteration of Pac-Man and all that stuff. So if you don't want to play the traditional Pac-Man and all that other stuff, play the arranged version of Pac-Man from the Namco Museum collection or the 50th anniversary collection on the PS2, Xbox, or GameCube if you're a Pac-Man fan. So yeah, there is that. Alright, in June, I didn't play any games in June this week because I took a little break and all that stuff. But so we got skipped into June, we're moving on to July. And the first game I beat in July, which on the PS2, a fun co-op game. I'm a big fan of the original series, not the Super Kitty version of it and all that stuff. And that game is talking about that is Teen Titans on the PS2. And this is a really good co-op game and all that stuff based on the original series and all that other stuff. And the OG series was goated as a kid and all that stuff, especially the theme song too and all that. I remember, and I seen the Cartoon Network a bunch of times and all that. And Cyborg is my favorite Teen Titan as a kid and as a dude now and all that stuff. So basically, it's like going through a bunch of episodes of Teen Titans and all that, in like a co-op version and all that. And fight like bosses or villains throughout the show and all that other stuff. and I'm playing single player and all other stuff. The game's like semi short and all the other stuff, but so overall, Teen Titans a really good co-op game and all that stuff. The GameCube version is so expensive and all that. Xbox version is semi expensive and PS2's version is kind of cheap too and all that stuff. So I really enjoyed this game and all that, and I love Teen Titans back in the day as a kid. So yeah, there is that Teen Titans on the PS2. All right, second game I beat of May and all that stuff. This is a phenomenal, excellent first-person shooter game. I beat this game this year and all that. I had it for backlog for like almost like 7 or 8 years now and all that stuff. I cannot wait to play the second one or Infinite really soon. I really enjoyed the game from start to finish. That game that I'm talking about, which is the original Bioshock on the Xbox 360. Such a phenomenal game and all that stuff. I played this game through from start to finish. Excellent first person shooter game and all that stuff. If you don't like Call of Duties and all that stuff, it has a nice little story to it. You have the Big Daddy and all that stuff, which I beat him and all that stuff. I collect a lot of weapons, and a bunch of hacks and so forth and so forth. And I played the game through start to finish for the very first time. This game looked great. This game is freaking phenomenal and all that. I really enjoyed this game and all the other stuff from start to finish. Excellent story, excellent weapons, excellent everything. So, a big fan of first-person shooters and all that stuff. If you don't want to stay away from the Call of Duties and all that stuff, play the original Bioshock and all that. You won't regret it. This is an excellent game in this series. Like I said, I cannot wait to play part 2 and Infinite really soon. So yeah, there is that. The original Bioshock on the Xbox 360. Alright, the third game that I beat in July, which you see me saw a skiing gameplay of the game being this whole game through and all that stuff. That game that I'm talking about, which is Batman Returns on the Super Nintendo. This is an excellent port of Batman Returns on the Super Nintendo. I prefer the Super Nintendo version over the Sega Genesis version or even the Sega CD version. So this is an excellent beat 'em up and all that stuff based off the movie and all that stuff. I really enjoyed it from start to finish. It was hard at times and all that stuff, but it's an excellent beat 'em up and all that stuff. So if you're a big fan of the movie, if you're a big fan of beat 'em ups and all that stuff, play the Super Nintendo version of Batman Returns. This is an excellent beat 'em up based off the movie right here, based off the great classic movie right here and all that stuff. So I love Batman Returns as a kid and all that stuff. And this game right here is so phenomenal. If you're a big fan of Batman, big fan of beat 'em ups, the Super Nintendo version of Batman Returns slaps over the Sega Genesis version or this Sega CD version. So yeah, there is that. Alright, the fourth game that I beat this year is for the original Xbox. And that game that I'm talking about, it was another Tony Hawk game and all that stuff, which is the last good Tony Hawk game in the past 6th-gen era, PS2, Xbox, and GameCube before the Tony Hawk games went downhill and all that stuff. I remember playing this game at my aunt's house like almost 20 years ago and all that. That game I'm really talking about, which is Tony Hawk American Wasteland. This is a really great, the last great Tony Hawk game in the Tony Hawk franchise and all that stuff. It basically the story mode is great and all that stuff. Even though the master mission and all that is so annoying, you get like a super trick, do like specials, all that. That was so hard and annoying at times and all that stuff. Overall and all that stuff, Tony Hawk American Wasteland is an instant classic right here and all that stuff. It's like a free roaming Tony Hawk game. All that. The story is great and all that stuff. Basically, you go through the maps of LA and all that stuff. You become the best skater in the world and all that stuff. And this game right here, just like Underground 1 and 2, this game is awesome too and all the other stuff. And so I'm so glad to replay this game, all the other stuff, like almost like 20 years ago and all the other stuff. And I really enjoyed this game. There's no loading times in this game and all the other stuff. And also what's neat about this game right here and all the other stuff, instead of like doing like the traditional story mode and all that, you can play the classic mode and all the other stuff. And so basically like a bunch of levels from the Tony Hawk games and all from the past Tony Hawk games into this game right here and all that other stuff. So overall, Tony Hawk American Wasteland is an instant classic Tony Hawk game and all that. The last good one in the series before Tony Hawk game went downhill and all that other stuff. And this game right here and all that stuff, not only you could play with the board and all that, you could play this back in 2 as well and all that stuff. So overall, Tony Hawk American Wasteland, this is a really great and last Tony Hawk games from the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox era before it went downhill after that. So yeah, there is that Tony Hawk American Wasteland on the original Xbox. Alright, and the last game that I beat in July, I picked it up from day one, and you know what it is and all that. I did a unboxing for this on all that. Be sure to check it out. No explanation. That is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake. I had a little highs, had a lot of lows in this game, man. But let's talk about the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 remake. The Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 remake is a phenomenal remake and all that stuff. Even though I never played much of 3 as a kid, I played 4 a lot more than 3 and all that stuff. But Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 is an excellent remake and all that other stuff. Like the levels remastered and everything from the ground, from the bottom to the top and all that stuff. So Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, even though I didn't play much of it as a kid, like I'm playing it as an adult, the remake and all that stuff is phenomenal and all that other stuff. So I really enjoyed Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 remastered. But Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4, on the other hand, is not that great and all that other stuff. So the reason why it's not that great and not that great is downgraded because they get rid of the open world mechanic and also the soundtrack in those games. Like even though they brought back some of the tracks from some of the track from the older games and all that stuff, mixing with the new ones and all that stuff. But the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 and all that stuff, the remake is not that great in my opinion and all that stuff. So if you want that open world experience and all that stuff, play the OG Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that for the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 remake. So overall, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, 4, all that, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, 4 remastered and all that is pretty decent and all that. But 3 was great, but 4 is not that great and all that stuff. So, but what I like about the game and all that other stuff, you can play as Michelangelo from TMNT and all that other stuff. And then they built the levels from the ground up and all that other stuff. Which the levels they remastered the levels is so phenomenal and all that other stuff. So overall, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 and all that stuff, decent ports and all that stuff. Not as good as a remaster from 1 and 2. But this right here is really decent and all this stuff. But if you want to play Tony Hawk 3, play the remake. No need to get the original. But for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4, on the other hand, stick with the original, not the remake and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 remastered on the PS5. So yeah, there is that. Alright, we're going to August. I beat 2 games in August. So the first game I beat in August, which is The Flintstones, The Rescue of Dino and Hoppy. This game right here is a classic right here from the NES era and all that stuff. But the other NES Flintstone game cost a lot of money and all that stuff. So this game right here, based off the game called Seven Granddad on the NES. This game is based off of that. They just slapped with Flintstones in it and all that stuff. So the game is really short and all that stuff. It took me like 30 minutes to beat. But this game right here is an instant classic Flintstone game on the NES and all that stuff. So if you're a big fan of Flintstones and all that stuff as a kid and all that stuff, play the game right here. It's so worth it and all that stuff. Whether you emulate it or buy this game and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that. And the second game and the last game that I beat in August, that is Donkey Kong 64 on the N64. I remember playing this game a lot as a kid and all that other stuff. I only played the multiplayer as a kid, but not the story mode as a kid and all that other stuff. So this is the first open world Donkey Kong game mixed with Super Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie. It's an instant classic right here. I got all the 5 Kongs, I got all the bananas and so forth and so forth. This is an instant classic right here and all the other stuff. And this game right here and all that is a certified classic and all the other stuff. And so, and they like Donkey Kong Bonanza took take away some stuff from this game right here and all that stuff. So overall, Donkey Kong 64 is an all-time classic right here. I got all the 5 Kong, got all the bananas, not like 100% and all that other stuff. I saw the game from start to finish and all that stuff. And the bosses are great too, and the soundtrack is great for this too, especially the last K. Rool fight in this game right here and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that. This is the banger right here for the close it off in August of this game. That is Donkey Kong 64 on the N64. So yeah, there is that. Alright, let's go on to September. The games that I beat in September, I beat 3 games in September. So let's start with the first game right here. I beat the game on the PS3. That is GoldenEye 007 Reloaded on the PS3. Basically, it looks like the expanded version from the Wii remake into the game right here. A lot of guns and all that other stuff. And this game is like a remake from the N64 version and all that other stuff. So, but it's not as good as the N64 version and all that other stuff. This game is kind of basically like Call of Duty with GoldenEye and all that other stuff. But overall, GoldenEye 007 Reloaded on the PS3, it's decent and all that other stuff. So decent remake, not as good as the N64 and all that other stuff, but still is a really decent remake in the GoldenEye games and all that other stuff. So yeah. There is that. And the second game right here and all this stuff, I'm glad I played this game for the first time in September and all that stuff. So I never played the original as a kid and all that. I had this game like both of the Resident Evil games throughout the years and all that stuff, especially the GameCube version and all that stuff. But now the GameCube versions of these ports of these old school Resident Evil games is so expensive and all that stuff. So, and in this game, I played this game for the very first time and all that stuff in the Resident Evil games and all that. I love RE1 Remake and all that stuff. I beat the original too and all that. But this one right here and all that stuff is one of the best Resident Evil games ever made of all time and all that. The OG of it. I cannot wait to play the remake of it in the near future. And that game we're talking about, which is no explanation, which is the OG Resident Evil 2. No explanation and all the other stuff. And one of the best Resident Evil games ever made and all the other stuff. And I played through Claire's and Leon's story and all the other stuff. And so I'm glad I played the original Resident Evil 2 after all these years and all that, because I never played them as a kid. Only reading them through the Game Informer magazines and all the other stuff. So the original OG 2, original Resident Evil 2, best Resident game ever made, bar none, and all the other stuff. So I never played the OG Resident Evil 2. What are you waiting for? You're missing out and all the other stuff. So if you want to play Resident Evil 2 and all that stuff, the OG Resident Evil 2, all that, play the PlayStation versions, all that, because it's really cheaper, because the GameCube versions is so cost a lot of money and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that. The original Resident Evil 2 on the GameCube. And the third and the last game I beat in September and all that stuff. If you haven't seen the gameplay of it, is on my YouTube channel. And that game we're really talking about, which is from the Capcom Fighting Collection 2 collection on the PS5, which is Power Stone 2. for the arcade and all that stuff. So I'm glad I played the Power Stone games for the very first time. Like the first one I played at my friend Gamer Man's Lounge House and all that stuff. I really enjoyed it. Basically, it's like Super Smash Brothers with Capcom kit with the Capcom version of Super Smash Brothers and all that. But the second one though and all that, it has like more like a story twist to it and all the other stuff. So I beat it with Ayame and all that other stuff. And the second one is really great as the first one and all that stuff. So overall, is a big fan of Super Smash Brothers and all that other stuff. Play Power Stone 2 and all that stuff. You collect like stones and all that stuff. It beat the heck out of each other and all that stuff. So overall, you want want more story based and all that other stuff. Play Power Stone 2. So worth it. So yeah, there is that. That's all the games I beat in the month of September. Alright, we're going to October. I beat 3 games in October and all that. Just like the original RE2 and all that, I'm glad that I beat the OG one and all that other stuff. Because it's really short and all the other stuff. And the remake is really trash, so I prefer the original right here. You know what it is. That is the original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis on the GameCube, which just like RE2 and all that other stuff. I glad so played this game for the very first time of the past couple of years of owning these and all that other stuff. Like I said, I never grew up with the PS1 versions and all that other stuff. And you read these versions of the GameCube versions of RE2 or 2 and 3 on Game Informer and all that. Like I said, and overall, the game is really short and all that. There are a bunch of like endings and all that stuff. There are multiple endings and all that through each and every character and all that stuff. And so, in Nemesis and all that stuff, will chase you like one blink in an eye and all the other stuff. And so, but I managed to beat it and all that under like 3.5 hours and all that other stuff. And this is a really good, great Resident Evil game and all that, just like RE2 and all that other stuff. And so I'm glad that I played the original of this game right here, not the remake and all that other stuff. So I heard the remake was not as good as the original and all that stuff. So I beat RE2 and 3, the originals of this year. I probably beat the original for the very first time. I never played the PS1 version as a kid, but overall, RE3 Nemesis, the OG, certified classic and all that other stuff. So yeah, like I said before, just like the RE2 remake and all that, the GameCube versions of RE2 or 3, especially Code Veronica 2, is so expensive nowadays and all that stuff. So best you can emulate it and all that other stuff to play the game and all that stuff. So yeah, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis on the GameCube, really enjoyed it and all that other stuff. So yeah, there is that. Alright, and the last game and the third game I beat for October, which was really hard to get through and all that stuff. You know how this game series are and all that stuff. Courtesy to a Ninja Gaiden 4 and all that stuff. That game is talking about, which is I want to send my condolences to Ikidaki. Recipe to Ikidaki. That is the OG Ninja Gaiden 2004 on the original Xbox. I played the game from start to finish. Man, this game is so brutal and all that stuff. Make me want to raise my controller and all that other stuff. But overall, the original Ninja Gaiden on the original Xbox is really great. But if you want to play the extended version of this game right here, play the black version and all that other stuff. So the original Ninja Gaiden and all that other stuff, from start to finish and all that other stuff, really great game to solve in the modern Ninja Gaiden games and all the other stuff. So hopefully I get to play black and all that other stuff. It was like a standard version of this game and all that other stuff. So you want to get the extended version of the game right here, get the black version and all that. You have so much content and all that stuff over the original and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that the original Ninja Gaiden on the OG Xbox. So yeah, there is that, and those are the games I beat in the month of October. Oops, I forgot. Another game I beat in October, which is like another it's certified arcade shooter classic and all that stuff. I beat it with Infinite Continues from the House of the Dead 2 or 3 return compilation on the Wii, which is the House of the Dead 2 from the House of the Dead 2 or 3 return on the Wii. You know what the game is. It's a certified classic right here. Classic arcade shooter by Sega. Is the best House of the Dead game, bar none. No question about that. So yeah, there is that. Those are the games I beat in October. All right, we beat 2 games for November, which I didn't play much games in November. Only beat 2 games as this year. This game was started with the first game right here and all that stuff. Another Resident Evil game and all that stuff that finally took me like 15 years to beat it and all that stuff. That game I'm talking about, which is Resident Evil Zero on the GameCube. This is a game I have for like 15 years and all that other stuff, but I could never pass the train part and all that until now and all that other stuff. And this game right here and all that, it's an okay game for the classic Resident Evil series and all that, but this game is so much annoying compared to Code Veronica and all that other stuff. So you think Code Veronica is most annoying and all that? This game is too and all other stuff. Like I didn't like the switching mechanic between Rebecca and Billy and all that stuff, and the puzzles and all that was so annoying and all that stuff. So overall, Resident Evil Zero and all that stuff is decent and all that, but not the best in the series in my opinion. All that stuff. But yeah, so I'm glad I beat this game and game really through and all that stuff after 15 years of owning this game right here and all that stuff. So will I replay this game again? Hell no and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that. That is the first game I beat in the month of November, Resident Evil Zero on the GameCube. So yeah, there is that. And the second game that I beat in the month of November, and this game is certified classic and all that other stuff. Fight Night Round 2 on the GameCube. And if you haven't seen my gameplay of Super Punch Out and all that, be sure to check it out. It's on my channel. But Fight Night Round 2 and all that other stuff. Phenomenal game in the Fight Night series. I grew up playing Fight Night 2004 as a kid at my dad's house. But Fight Night Round 2 even better and all that, especially with the haymaker system and all that stuff with the punches and the all other stuff. But what very unique about this game and all the other stuff, you can play Lil Mac from Super Punch Out in this game right here and all that stuff. If you have the GameCube version and all that, I played the career mode with Lil Mac and all that other stuff. I beat all the boxers and all that, including Muhammad Ali and all the other stuff. So yeah, so Fight Night Round 2 and all that. It's an instant classic right here. You want to play as Lil Mac and all that stuff? Play the GameCube version right here and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that. There's an instant classic right here to end off November. So Fight Night Round 2 on the GameCube. And certainly, last but not least, the 25th game that I beat of this month right here and all the other stuff to end off the year. And I have this childhood cart for years and all the other stuff. And the box and all the other stuff, I throw away the original box, which was a Player's Choice Edition and all that stuff. We bought the box on eBay like years ago and all that stuff. And this is the first Game Boy Advance game that I played and got around like 20 years ago at Fry's Electronics. My mom got me that. Got me this game and Zelda Minish Cap with my Game Boy, silver Game Boy SP. Well, I still have those to this day and all that. This game right here is a good handheld Mario Kart game and all that stuff. Not as good as like Mario Kart DX and Mario Kart 7 and all that now and all that. But this is my first Mario Kart handheld game I played and all that other stuff. That game I'm talking about is an instant classic right here. One of the first game I got with my Game Boy Advance, which is Mario Kart Super Circuit. Like this is a really good Mario Kart handheld game and all that other stuff. It basically is an iteration from the Super Nintendo game and all that other stuff. So with a modern twist to it and all that stuff. You collect coins and all that stuff, just like Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo and all that stuff. So what's very unique about this game and all that other stuff, I finally got all the extra tracks and all the other stuff after 20 long years, 20 plus 20 years and all the other stuff. Like the extra tracks and all that stuff, it basically like Super Nintendo tracks and all the other stuff. And so you got like 5 laps and all that other stuff. You have like the Insect remaster from the Super Nintendo soundtrack was like a banger and all that other stuff. So I'm glad I got the Super Nintendo circuits and all that other stuff after 20 long years and all that other stuff. So yeah, so this is my first Game Boy game that I ever got and all that stuff. Like I said, I had a childhood card for so many years, and like I said, this is not the original box right here and all that stuff. My original box had the Player's Choice Edition and all that, which I throw away as a kid and all that stuff. But yeah, Mario Kart Super Circuit, really good Mario Kart handheld game. Not as good, like I said, not as good as Mario Kart DS and Mario Kart 7 because those pillars like they set the standard for those and all that other stuff. But Mario Kart Super Circuit, great Mario Kart game handheld from my childhood and all that other stuff. So yeah, there is that. That is the 25th game that I beat to end off of 2025. So yeah, there is that. Well, that's it, you guys. So these are all 25 games that I beat of this year. Yeah, 2025 was a great year for me of gaming and all that other stuff. And hopefully, I'm gonna do another round of this round games. I'm playing games I never played in my backlog for collection of next year, which is from retro to modern. So yeah, so that's it for the games I beat in 2025. Tell me in comment below what games you've been beat this year, whether from retro to modern. So make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Want to follow my upcoming videos? Check out my Facebook fan page. The Facebook fan page is in the description down below. And I'll see y'all next time with another video to kick off the new year. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, wherever you're at. And thank you very much. And goodbye.